Hello, Algebra 1. Today we are starting our third unit of the semester, and we are going to be talking about finding rates from a table, graph, and function rule. We're also going to be talking about something called the y-intercept and a word you're familiar with, slope. So let's start off with what rate of change is. When we say rate of change, or just rate, you are comparing two quantities. And generally, we write rate of change as a fraction in simplest form. Rate of change can be thought of as the dependent variable over the independent variable, or as change in y over change in x. So, for example, you might see something like feet per minute or miles per hour, and that would be an example of a rate of change. Now, slope is pretty much the same thing as rate of change, but when we use the word slope, we're specifically relating to the direction and steepness of your line. Slope is also written as a fraction in simplest form, and slope is also change in y over change in x. And for whatever reason, which I do not know, we use the letter m to represent slope. When we're talking about the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's why it's called the y-intercept. Y-intercept also represents your starting point. So in our last unit, we kind of looked at starting cost or starting point. This would represent to our y-intercept on our graph. All right, so let's talk about finding slopes and then finding y-intercepts. One thing for the y-intercept that we're just going to make note of is the letter that we use for the y-intercept is B. And again, the letter for slope is M. Now, in terms of slopes, we have four types. The first is a positive slope. This is when we are going up to the right, so our line is increasing. A negative slope is down to the right, or decreasing. A slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and a slope that is undefined is going to be for a vertical line, which looks like this. Now, if you want to find the slope in a graph, we are going to go up divided by over if the line is increasing, or down divided by over if the line is decreasing. If we want to find the y-intercept in a graph, this is always where the line hits the x-axis, or I'm sorry, the y-axis. It's been a long day. All right, so let's try this. M is your slope. B is your y-intercept. So for our slope, we're going to pick one of our points and we're going to go up and over to the nearest dot. And then we're just going to count those spaces. This is up 2 spaces and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we always do up divided by over, so our slope is 2 over 5. Now your y-intercept is where your line hits the y-axis. Y-axis is this purple line. That happens right here. The name of that point is 0, 3. So all y-intercepts will start with a 0, because all y-intercepts are on the y-axis. All right, let's try it again. This line is decreasing. That means you're going to go down and over when you draw on your triangle. So pick any dot you want, go down, and then over to the next dot. Count your spaces. 1, 2, 3. This is down 3, so I put a negative over 1. That means my fraction is negative 3 over 1, which simplifies to just negative 3. Again, your y-intercept is where we hit that y-axis, which is going to be right up here. Always 0, and that is at 4. All right, so now let's practice some more. If you flip the page, we've got all of these different graphs or lines on one graph, and we're going to practice finding the slope and the y-intercept of each of them. So let's start with line A. Line A is decreasing. It is going downhill. That means that I want my triangle to go down and then over. Down, over. Remember, you're counting the squares. 1, 2, 3. I went down 3. I went over 1, 2, 3. So we have a slope of -3 over 3. And then you always want to simplify. -3 over 3 is -1. All right, and again, slope, our letter is M. All right, time for line B. Line B is horizontal. A horizontal line, every single time, that slope is 0. Okay? Line C. Line C is increasing. It's going uphill. So that means we're going to count up and we're going to count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 6. Again, we go 4 over 6. Think of the fraction. We're going 4 over 6, right? Like it's divided by 6, just like we went over 6 to the right. This is something you'll want to math frac or simplify your fraction to 2/3. And finally, line D. Line D is vertical. A vertical line always has an undefined slope. All right, so now let's practice finding our y-intercepts. So y-intercept, again, is where your line is going to hit the y-axis. So let's start with line A. So my y-axis is this blue line. I hit right here at the origin. That means that my y-intercept is 0, 0. And just a reminder, we use the letter B for y-intercept. All right, next we have line B. So line B goes across. It hits the y-axis right here at 4. Make sure you have 0, comma. Line C. It hits the y-axis down at -5. But again, make sure you have your 0, comma. And then line D is kind of unique. This vertical line here, hold on, here's my y-axis. Here's line D. So what you should notice is it doesn't hit the y-axis at all. It does hit the x-axis, but we're not asking where it hits the x-axis. We're asking where it hits the y-axis, and it does not. So we're just going to say none. You don't want to put 0 because that might confuse your teacher and make them think you mean it hits at 0, 0. We just want to say, hey, there is no y-intercept. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the graph below to answer some following questions. We're going to find the slope. We are going to include units based on the units that are in this graph. We have time in seconds, and it looks like our distance, we lost what our unit is here. So we're going to say this is feet. So segment A, I want you to notice it is increasing. It's going up to the right. That means you want to go up and over first. And it doesn't matter where you go up and where you go over. You can make either of those triangles. Either way, you're going up 3 and over 2. So we're going to write 3 over 2. And then because we went up 3, that's our feet. And we went over 2, that's our seconds. Our unit is feet per second. Segment B is horizontal. So again, automatically, we know that's a slope of 0 feet per second. And so this is something that we talked about in our last unit with motion graphs. This 0 feet per second should make sense because it means that the person is stopped. And if the person is stopped, we know that, they're not moving. So we talked about how horizontal line means stopped back in unit 2, and now we're talking about how that rate or slope is 0 feet per second. All right, now let's go ahead, segment C. I want you to notice it's decreasing, it's going downhill. That means you should go down first and then over. Down 2 over 1, -2 over 1, simplifies to just -2, feet per second. Y-intercept, again, is where we hit the y-axis right there, and that is 0, 1. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these segments and we're actually going to fill in the points into a table and talk about how to find the slope from the table. Segment A has a point at 0, 1, at 2, 4, and at 4, 7. Okay, so again, we talked about graphing back in Unit 2. Let's go ahead and do segment B. It has points at 4, 7, at 6, 7, and at 8, 7. And finally, segment C, we are at 8, 7, 9, 5, and 10, 3. All right, now we already found the slope of A, B, and C up above, but I want to show you how you can get that exact same slope from using a table. Okay, so what we're going to do in order to find our slope is essentially we're going to find the jumps in the x and the jumps in the y. So we're going to go 1 to 4, this is plus 3, 4 to 7, this is also plus 3, 0 to 2, this is plus 2, 2 to 4, this is plus 2. And again, slope is change in y over change in x. So you are going to do your y jumps divided by your x jumps. And if you take a look, you get that exact same 3 over 2 that we did above. All right, so again, change in y over change in x. Let's do our jumps. 7 to 7, well, nothing changed. I'm just going to put plus 0. 7 to 7, it still didn't change, plus 0. But for your x's, we have plus 2 and we have plus 2. Our change in y is 0. Our change in x is 2. If you go ahead and type 0 divided by 2 into your calculator, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So again, if we go back up to segment B, which was horizontal, we got a 0 feet per second. So far, everything is matching just the way we want it to. Let's try our last one. Okay, again, slope is change in y over change in x. So we're going to do our jumps. This is down 2, so subtract, down 2, subtract. And on this side, we're going up 1. Again, take your jumps in y, so negative 2 divided by positive 1, and then just simplify that, and we get negative 2. Once again, you can see that matches exactly what we got from the graph. Now, if you look at these 3 tables, only one of them contains the y-intercept. Okay, so you should notice that's in segment A. It is right here, 0, 1. And the y-intercept is 0, 1 because remember, if it hits the y-axis, the x-coordinate is always going to be 0. So whenever you look at a table, you should be able to figure out the y-intercept by finding where x is 0. All right, let's put this all together. So we have a bunch of different tables. We're going to find the slope and the y-intercept from each table. And if the table includes unit, we want to include units with our slope. Okay, so for your slope, you're going to go ahead and again do change in y over change in x. That means your jumps for your y over your jumps for your x. And here's the thing, maybe you're not a huge fan of negatives. You should actually be able to do your jumps anywhere you want. So like 15 to 9, that's going down 6. 9 to 3, that's going down 6. 3 to negative 3, that's going down 6. Up on this side for the x's, these are actually each going up 3. So you can see that when you do your change in y over change in x, it doesn't actually matter which ones you do. You're all going to get the same thing either way. So negative 6 divided by 3 gives us a negative 2 for our slope. Your y-intercept is wherever you see your 0, which is right there. So our y-intercept is 0, 9. All right, let's try another one. Slope is change in y over change in x. That means you're going to do your jumps. 7 to 15 is plus 8. 15 to 23 is plus 8. 23 to 31 is plus 8. On the other side, we're jumping by ones. Your change in y is the 8. Your change in x is the 1. So we're just going 8 over 1, and then we'll simplify. 8 divided by 1 is 8. Your y-intercept is wherever you see that 0, comma. So in this case, it's at 0, 7. All right, let's try it again. Slope, change in y over change in x. So this just means we're doing jumps. 20 to 25 is plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. On the left, these are each subtracting 2. Your change in y is 5. Your change in x is negative 2. So we're just going to go ahead and put that on top. And when you go ahead and divide that in Math Bracket, it doesn't change. It just stays in negative 5 over 2. So that's going to be our answer. That y-intercept is wherever you have 0, comma. And so in this case, it is 0, 30. All right, last one of these. This one has units. So that means that when we are done simplifying, we're going to need to put our units as well. You find your slope the exact same way. Change in y over change in x. This means we're doing our jumps. 125 to 275. This is plus 150. 275 to 425. Plus 150. And another plus 150. On this side, we're going up by 2's. Your change in y is 150. Your change in x is 2. 150 divide by 2. Then we simplify. That gives us 75. Now let's talk about our units. Just like we did change in y over change in x, that's the order that you want to do for your units as well. So we did y over x, so we're going to do dollars over days. That y-intercept, once again, is always where 0, comma is. So 0, 125. All right, our last problem shows us a table that is horizontal. We can still go ahead and find slope and y-intercept. Just be careful because this time x is here and y is going to be here. Your slope is still going to be change in y over change in x, so we just have to be careful about our order. You are still going to do your jumps. This is plus 2. Now, what's different about this one is plus 3. This one is plus 5. And this one is back to plus 2. All right, let's see if that makes a difference. When we do our y's, 6 to 10, that's up 4. 10 to 16 is up 6. 16 to 26 is up 10. And 26 to 30 is back up 4. Now, you may wonder, well, which one are you supposed to use? Well, like I said before, it doesn't matter. Just do your change in y over your change in x. So 4 divided by 2. All right, well, guess what? What if you did 6 divided by 3? Okay, but what if you decided to do 10 divided by 5? So what you should notice here, and then back to 4 divided by 2, all of these reduce to 2. Okay, it doesn't matter which ones you use as long as you do change in y over change in x. And again, when you have units, you're going to divide your units in the same way. So y over x is feet over second. And that is our slope, or our rate. Your y-intercept, you're still going to do that 0, comma. It's just this time it'll look like this. All right, so here's your recap. Again, in order to find slope from a table, we're going to do your jumps or change in y divided by your jumps or change in x. To find the y-intercept, you are looking for a value of 0 in the x column. All right, I hope this helped you find slope and y-intercept from a graph and a table, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.